What did that do? It reminded me of the love that I was capable of giving, right? You're a really good man. I might have been a really bad man the other day, but today I went out of my way to be a good man, and she thanked me for it.
Rather than holding a grudge for when
What
he's
had
a bad
happened.
man.
What she did essentially was lead me to see, at least inspire me to see what was possible. People getting divorced
Tearing their families apart, coasting through marriage.
or fighting their way through it. I'm Cass.
I'm Kathryn.
We came back from the depths of hell to save our abusive, our toxic marriage.
We're MorrowMarriage.
Let's flip divorce statistics with the new marriage. All right, let's talk about gratitude, entitlement, complacency, and how this can affect somebody with a narcissist at home. Ooh, this is going to piss people off.
Okay, so I'm going to start this one. So the reason I want to talk about gratitude today, and specifically gratitude and entitlement, is because something has happened in today's typical marriage where we don't thank each other. Now, I will hear all the time, I'm not going to thank my husband for taking care of the kids because they're his kids. I'm not going to thank my husband for doing the laundry because it's his laundry. Well, here's the thing. If we can change that and start thanking our husbands or wives for what they're doing, what is that going to shift? So if he does laundry, which normally he doesn't, I mostly do it, but he will do it, I will thank him, even if it's his own. Hey, thank you for doing your own laundry. I got a little bit behind. Now, the reason I thank him is because he did something and now it's off my plate.
Let me give a live example from today. She thanked me for doing the dishwasher, even though she knew that I could have put more dishes in there. And you stop the dishwasher, put more in there.
I still said thank you.
So thank you, right?
Oh, good example.
Yeah.
And so I'm not thanking him because it's necessarily my responsibility. So the example of the laundry, that's also not actually my responsibility. We have someone that takes care of our children some of the time and helps with laundry. And I thank her too, by the way. It doesn't matter if I'm paying her, I still thank her.
That's right.
So when it comes to gratitude, there needs to be gratitude on both sides. So whatever your husband's doing, is he providing a roof over your head? I thank my husband, not daily, but quite often, for working so hard so that we can have everything that we have. I'm not entitled to it.
Every time we spend money with the family for the kids.
Even if it comes off of
Yeah.
my debit card. Like we have separate bank accounts and a together bank account. We have just, because there's different businesses, there's all sorts of things. So I went and bought a wagon for one of those really badass 4-seater wagons
Yeah, it's pretty cool,
for our little
actually.
crew. Yeah, it's like a luxury wagon. It's amazing. And I said, girls, Riddick, let's thank Dua, that's what they call him, so the daddy, for our wonderful wagon. And then he said, thanks, mama. You know, and we thank each other because we're on the same team.
That's right.
So thanking your husband for working, thanking your husband for whatever he's doing at home, thanking your husband for being a good dad, thanking your husband for being a loving husband.
This is
Hold on,
also
hold on.
this is for wives too, though.
Yeah, that's what I want to get into.
Oh, sorry, husbands too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you start doing that, one of you needs to start. So if you're getting complacent, somebody has to start it. So if you're listening to this, you can start it, because what we want is for your husband as well. So if you're a wife, you want your husband to thank you. So I take care of the kids more, but I still love getting thanked. Thank you so much for being a good mama. Thank you so much for making sure that the kids are all registered in their activities. Thank you so much for whatever it is that I did. And this makes it seem really blue job and pink job. And we are a little bit blue and pink in this family.
We are,
We
yeah.
both make money. We both have companies. My company is actually more of like a hierarchy. I have tons of people in there, and he's more of a one-man show. Completely different companies, right? Completely different business models that we do. It doesn't matter who makes more money. We're thanking each other. The reason I say that is because of the division of roles. So you both might be working full-time, or it might be a stay-at-home mom and a full-time working dad, or opposite. You still should not get complacent for what the other person is doing. Men tend to think, well, if I'm bringing home the paycheck, then it's her role. It's her duty to take care of the children. Why would I thank her? Well, I'll tell you.
I'll give you a big one though, a really, really big one. Sex, right? Men think that they're entitled to sex because they bring home that paycheck. You know, there are times when you are hot and heavy and ready to go, and then there are times where you just want to connect with me, and I'm thanking you for it, right? And I think that like where have the manners gone?
Yeah.
You know. Anyways,
And it's respect. I think what I was getting at there is the roles, and I lost my train of thought. But I know
that.
Yeah, that's okay. but my overarching point is that you need to be thanking each other. So regardless of what your role is, I know what I was going to say. you know, you should, if you're a man and your wife is taking care of the child or children or the home, thanking her is going to go a long way. And I'll tell you, if you spend a day with all of your children and having to clean up after the chaos of that your children, you know, cause, you would probably see that maybe thank you is appropriate. You know, I came home yesterday, our nanny was sick. And so I came home after doing all the things with the girls, and he said, I've been with one of our children for a few hours. How do you do it? Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really important because not just because he finds it difficult. I also find it difficult, but it's just one of those things where you should be thanking each other. And women, I don't speak to a lot of men about this because I run a program for women, but women will say, well, I don't think I need to thank my husband for working. It's his job. Right. But don't you sometimes feel frustrated if you're at home with your kids and you don't get to go to all the appointments and you don't get to go to, I don't know, get your nails done. You don't get to go do all of that. But if you get thanked, you know, and if you're a partnership, then you can open up the conversation and just feel good about what you're doing.
100%. And, you know, I'd like to add before we move past a gratitude is like you can be really real with it. You know, you are proud of being a mama. You waited your whole life. You never got pregnant early, not judging anybody, but like you literally made sure that you could be a mama the right way is the best to your ability. Right. And like I thought I was being a great dad. And so one of the things that I like to do is, you know, Kathryn, you're such a good mama. The way that you're learning about how to deal with their emotions has inspired me to want to be a better father. Like, give the why you're grateful, you know, because even if it is as simple as thank you for the Subway or whatever, Chipotle, you know, thanks for working so hard so we can go, you know, have a little picnic at the beach. Like, yeah, it might be the job that you signed up for, mama, or working or whatever, but it just means so much more if you have a why behind the gratitude. Because it's not just because that's what we decided to do. If that worked, people wouldn't be getting so upset about roles all the time. Well, you wanted kids, so you should. That's where you start complaining. It's the exact opposite. Read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's like the first thing he talks about. It might be the second one. I can't remember. But yeah, anyways, okay. Anything else you want before we
No, I think it's a good time to move into the narcissism piece.
Okay. We can talk maybe about complacency a little bit first. The reason why is simple. I think, and I don't know if this is where you want to go with it, but I think that you get complacent for a number of reasons. One would be that what we just talked about right there, like we picked the roles up, right? This is what you chose to do, right? You have to work, right? And you get that entitlement. So it forces you to become complacent. But I think also you just have to look within. When I teach men about manners in my program, which sounds silly maybe to some of you listening, but like you bring me a snack or dinner, right? And well, actually you're always like, I'll get it, right? And then you bring it to me. Like sometimes
because I like to do that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. So of course I'm saying thank you, but some of you are just taking the food and not even taking your eyes off the TV. Thanks. So you're not actually using gratitude. That's complacency in another way that I wanted people to think of.
And entitlement and expectation.
Yeah, there, yeah.
And I think that when there is an expectation, all the more reason to use gratitude. So if you are expecting, so let's say your wife makes dinner every night. Well, first of all, you're super lucky. I do not make dinner every night. Barely feed myself, let alone this whole family. But if you're expecting that your wife is going to do it and she does it, and you're then entitled because of the expectation, and you're complacent because you're not actually looking at her and saying thank you and appreciating what she did, where does that leave your wife? How does your wife feel? She then gets complacent with the same situation. You know, like maybe she doesn't want to do it anymore. She starts doing it begrudgingly. And before you know it, then you're starting to build up the walls of bitterness and resentment that we talk about all the time.
Yeah, I think this is so powerful. So now let us though go into narcissism.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just give a little backstory, and I'm sure we'll do lots of episodes on narcissism. So if you don't know, I'm a managing self-aware severe narcissist. No matter what test I take, I guess I was going to say fail it, but I guess I pass the test. And so a lot of times people want to know how, why, because we're all told narcissists can't change. And, you know, I think it was you that said to me one time about the 7-minute mile. Nobody could do it.
Right. Everybody, I think it was the 4-minute mile.
4-minute mile?
Everybody does the 7-minute mile.
Yeah.
Nobody, I could probably do a 7-minute
Next Jim on Run.
Yeah, the 4 minute mile. Everyone thought it was impossible until somebody did it. And then so many people after have done it.
Right. And the problem with social media is this has become a bandwagon trend that everybody's jumping on. So the people who are serious because they fear they have narcissism in their marriage, their partner typically is who they blame. And we talk about this all the time. You know, if you're just blaming, and you're worried about you, then maybe you should look into some of the traits. But regardless, so after some years of trying to do a lot of work on me, anger would have been the big one at the time, really. Okay. You recognized, not that I was a narcissist, we had no idea yet, okay, but you recognized something that you could do, which started with gratitude, less entitlement, and certainly not complacency. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. Just back up a little bit. So narcissism has become a buzzword over the last few years. And when we first got married, I actually thought you were a sociopath.
That's true.
Because everybody knew what a sociopath was, but narcissism didn't even come across my radar until far later. When it did, I started to recognize, wow, okay, so look at these traits. What can I do? Because when you're in a relationship with someone who has severe narcissistic traits, you are constantly looking at yourself. What can I do to make things better? And it's not in a healthy way. I was later able to do it in a healthy way, but I would go to therapy saying, how do I manage my husband's anger? How do I get him to not feel this? How do I get him to be sweet to me? How do I get my husband to do whatever? So in the beginning, it was codependent behavior. And codependency means you are valuing someone else's well-being at the detriment of your own. That's what codependency means. So I'm not a codependent person, but when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, it doesn't matter how strong of a person you are. If you haven't developed the skills that you need.
She's a powerhouse, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You did that in a recent one too. For those of you that you can't see the video, he just got me to flex.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But
emotionally, I was a very strong person. And so when I got to know him and I started to see all these traits, I wanted to figure out what I could do to protect myself and how I could get him to change. So that's the backstory. Once I realized that it wasn't really anything that I could do, not in the way that I was doing it, in my codependent behavior. And again, I have to say, I'm the furthest thing from codependent, but when you get into a relationship with a narcissist and you have these severe traits, you start to display some codependent traits. You might, and you probably will. It's not like 100%, but anyway. So what I learned was when I actually studied narcissism, and you can look it up, it's all online. I would look up the real information though. Don't just go on any website.
Don't use social media. Seriously.
Yeah, look up the DSM-5. So that's the Diagnostic Statistic Manual, and it's the 5th edition. So look that up and you'll see all of what narcissism is. And of course you have to be diagnosed by a psychiatrist and some registered psychologist. But anyway, when you look into what it is and you start to understand it a little bit, you first of all, another thing, first of all, I think I said that a few times. So first of all is everything is super important. When I say first of all 5,000 times, it means it's just equally important.
Rewind and keep watching.
Yeah.
Or listening.
Yeah. So people will say narcissists can't change. Again, look it up. Look up the American Psychological Association. Look up scholarly articles. Narcissists can make progress. They can have success with the right support. It cannot be healed and fixed. You will always be a narcissist.
I have to catch myself.
Yeah, if you have narcissistic personality disorder or any personality disorder, you don't get rid of the personality disorder, but you can make progress.
Which is change, by the way.
Change, exactly. So you can change and you can be aware of it. So I researched that because everyone said if you're a narcissist, you can't change. I was like, bullshit. I don't like that. I don't believe it. What can I do? So that's my long-winded backstory. But what I started to do, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. You're the talker in the family, but I can talk too. So what I started to do was I started
it's like a combination of Jesus and Fergie.
What's that? What movie is that from?
Step Brothers.
Oh my gosh, better get on with this. I don't know if we'll have time. Okay, anyway, so I started to look really deep and I had to do a lot of work because he was vicious. I could be vicious too. We've talked about my reactivity and I definitely had it in there. He didn't create it. It was in there. He just brought it out and other people brought it out too. It's not just his fault, but I was the most vicious with him. But anyway, I started to dig deep and go back to some of the qualities that I knew were helpful in any situation. And I am a people person. I had a huge network of friends, associates, just people that I had in my network. Not everybody liked me. I can be a lot. I'm a very strong personality, but in general, I have a very big sphere of influence, and I know it.
So, baby, what did you do?
I know, you're the edge of your seat. So, gratitude. What can I be thankful for? Because I was showing complacency. Empathy. How could I look at what he was displaying and, first of all, not think that it had anything to do with me? Because up until that point, I was thinking, what can I do? Not what can I see? What can I understand? So when you go back to this lesson today, which is about gratitude, entitlement, complacency, and narcissism, if you're working with someone with narcissistic traits, and it doesn't need to be full-blown narcissism.
It could just be fighting an angry defense attack.
Yeah, stuff that has narcissistic kind of roots even. Remember to show gratitude to that person, because that now you are not responsible for managing anyone else's emotions. But if you're thankful to someone, if you are not being complacent when someone does something for you, and when you're actually engaged in the relationship and in communication and in conversation with this person, that can mitigate a lot of the anger. Now, that person will still have to do whatever they need to do.
Still had to work, okay?
Because there's a root to the anger. But you can mitigate a lot of it by being the best you can be, with which, of course, you want to show gratitude. You never want to be complacent. You never want to be entitled, right?
Right. Now, here's the last thing I want to leave you guys with, and that is that, so if a narcissist is capable of the love bombs, that means they know how. So this is part of managing the highs and the lows. She's not responsible for me in this case. Depending on your relationship, you're not responsible for them. But what you can understand is by her showing me when I was showing up without fighting, right? That was a really good conversation. Thank you. What did that do? It reminded me of the love that I was capable of giving, right? You're a really good man. I might have been a really bad man the other day, but today I went out of my way to be a good man, and she thanked me for it.
Rather than holding a grudge for when
What
he's
had
a bad
happened.
man.
What she did essentially was lead me to see, at least inspire me to see what was possible, which is eventually where I started to realize we're only fighting every 3 days. This is amazing.
He started to see things clearly.
Started to see things. That was the click. So sometimes you guys want to know what made you want to change, right? Specifically, women are asking me this all the time on social media. And what it was, I believe looking back now, was you could show empathy because you started with gratitude.
Right. And I want to end with this, because multiple times we've said you don't have the responsibility to manage your partner's emotions. You don't have the responsibility to help them through anger. But here's the thing, it might not be your responsibility, but you have the opportunity, and this is supposed to be the person that you love the most in the world, or at least you did at one point.
That's right.
So take the opportunity to help your partner manage their own emotions, and you'll be able to get to a really beautiful place. We'll see you guys.
It is.
It is beautiful. See you guys next time.
See ya.